we need to talk about something that's going to get your hearts racing and your mind spinning with possibilities. The 2026 NFL season is on the horizon, and the Buffalo Bills are positioned in ways they haven't been in years when it comes to individual awards and recognition. Josh Allen is currently the betting favorite to win his second NFL MVP award. Joe Brady, in his first year as head coach, is sitting in the top 5 for Coach of the Year odds. This franchise is getting respect from odds makers and analysts in ways that suggest something special could be brewing in Western New York. But before we get too carried away riding this wave of optimism and start planning the parade route, we need to have a real, honest conversation about what it would actually take for the Bills to bring home some of this hardware, and more importantly, whether these individual accolades even matter when the only trophy anyone truly cares about is the Lombardi. Let me start by acknowledging the elephant in the room, because I know exactly what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, Joe, who cares about MVP? Who cares about Coach of the Year? The only award that matters is the Super Bowl championship. And you're absolutely right. That's the truth. That's what this entire organization is built around. That's what keeps Josh Allen up at night. That's what motivates this entire roster. The Lombardi Trophy is the only thing that matters when we're talking about legacy, when we're talking about what this era of Bills football will be remembered for. Nobody in Buffalo is going to hang a banner for Josh Allen winning his second MVP if it doesn't come with a Super Bowl ring. Nobody is going to celebrate Joe Brady being Coach of the Year if the Bills flame out in the divisional round again. But here's the thing. It's still fun to talk about this stuff. It's still exciting to see your guys getting recognition as being among the best in the league at what they do. And there's actually a pretty strong correlation between teams that have strong representation in these award categories and teams that make deep playoff runs. If the Bills win the Super Bowl this year, and believe me, that's the goal, that's the expectation, that's what this roster is constructed to do, there's a really good chance they'll have some big-time representation among the finalists for these other awards as well. Individual excellence and team success go hand in hand, especially in today's NFL. There's also something crucial that needs to be said before we dive into all of these awards categories, and it's something that drives me absolutely insane every single year when people talk about MVP or Coach of the Year. These are regular season awards, folks. The votes are submitted before the playoffs begin. Don't fall into the trap of seeing something happen in January or February and thinking that should be the reason why someone wins or doesn't win MVP. Don't see a coach make a brilliant adjustment in the AFC championship game and think that's going to factor into Coach of the Year voting. It doesn't work that way. These awards are voted on and decided with only the regular season in mind, which is both a blessing and a curse for a team like Buffalo that's built specifically to peak in January. So with all of that context out of the way, let's start with the big one, the award that gets more attention and generates more debate than any other individual honor in professional football. Let's talk about Josh Allen and the NFL MVP race, because right now your quarterback is sitting at the top of the odds board, and that's not an accident. Josh Allen is currently the NFL MVP favorite at plus 600 odds. Let that sink in for a second. The betting markets, the people who make their living predicting these things, the odds makers who analyze every piece of data and every trend, they're telling you that Josh Allen is the single most likely player to win the 2026 NFL MVP award. That's not just Bills Mafia being homers. That's not just local media pumping up their guy. That's the actual consensus opinion of the people whose job it is to set these lines. The Bills' last NFL MVP was Josh Allen himself back in 2024. Before that, you have to go all the way back to Thurman Thomas in 1991 and O.J. Simpson in 1973. So this franchise has a pretty sparse history when it comes to MVP awards, which makes it even more remarkable that Josh could potentially win his second one in just 3 years. Last year, the award went to Matthew Stafford with the Rams, and here's something interesting. At this point last season, Stafford wasn't even in the top 7 in terms of MVP odds. So there's always the possibility that someone comes out of nowhere and has a season that nobody saw coming, but right now, the smart money is on Josh Allen. Behind Allen in the MVP odds, you've got Lamar Jackson at plus 700, Drake May at plus 850, Joe Burrow at plus 950, Patrick Mahomes at plus 1,000, and Justin Herbert at plus 1,100. Now look at that list of names for a second. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Drake May, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. What do you notice? Obviously, they're all quarterbacks, because when was the last time a non-quarterback won MVP in this league? But more importantly, they're all AFC quarterbacks. The top 6 players in MVP odds are all from the same conference, which tells you everything you need to know about the level of quarterback talent in the AFC right now and how incredibly difficult it's going to be for Josh to separate himself from that pack. So why could Josh Allen actually win this thing? Why should Bills Mafia believe that their quarterback can bring home his second MVP trophy? Well, let's start with the obvious. He's Josh Allen. This is a special player, a generational talent, someone who's going to be in these conversations every single year as long as he's healthy and playing at a high level. Go back and look at his track record in MVP voting over the last several years. In 2020, he finished second. In 2022, he finished 4th. In 2023, he finished 5th. He won the whole damn thing in 2024. Last season, he finished 3rd behind Matthew Stafford and Drake May. This is an annual conversation with Josh Allen, and that tells you something about the caliber of player we're dealing with. But beyond just being a great player, there are some specific factors that make 2026 a really intriguing year for Josh's MVP candidacy. First and foremost, the arrival of DJ Moore completely changes the dynamic of this offense. For the first time in Josh Allen's career, you can make a legitimate argument that he has a true number 1 wide receiver, an elite weapon who commands defensive attention, who can win one-on-one matchups, who can take over games. That's huge. That's the kind of supporting cast element that can elevate a quarterback's MVP case, because it shows he's not just doing it with smoke and mirrors. He's got legitimate weapons around him, and he's maximizing their potential. There's also a really strong case to be made that we're going to see more passing volume from the Bills in 2026. The offense is going to be more aggressive through the air. Josh Allen is going to have more opportunities to put up big numbers in the passing game. And when you combine increased volume with elite talent and a top-tier supporting cast, you get the kind of statistical production that wins MVP awards. We're talking potentially well over 4,000 passing yards, somewhere in the range of 35 to 40 passing touchdowns, combined with Josh's typical rushing production of around 700 yards and 10 to 15 rushing touchdowns on the ground. Those are MVP caliber numbers, and they're absolutely within Josh's capability. I also find myself really excited about the blend of continuity and new voices on the offensive coaching staff. Joe Brady is back, which provides continuity in terms of the overall offensive philosophy and play calling. You've got a lot of the same players returning. Outside of adding a new left guard and bringing in DJ Moore, this is largely the same offensive personnel. But at the same time, you're adding Pete Carmichael as the offensive coordinator and Bo Hardigree as the quarterback's coach, bringing fresh perspectives and new ideas to the conversation. That combination of familiarity with new innovation could be exactly what Josh needs to take his game to another level. But let's be realistic about the challenges Josh faces in winning this award, because they're significant. The competition is absolutely stacked. You've got a lot of really good young quarterbacks who are in position to have breakout seasons and lead their teams to unexpected success. Drake May with the Patriots is the perfect example. If he takes that team to the playoffs and puts up big numbers doing it, the narrative around him is going to be incredibly strong. Joe Burrow, if he stays healthy, is going to put up absolutely monster statistics in that Cincinnati offense. Lamar Jackson is always going to be in the conversation. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. The other challenge for Josh is that expectations are sky high. Everybody expects Josh Allen to be great. Everybody expects him to put up big numbers and lead the Bills to the playoffs. There needs to be something about his 2026 season that truly stands out and separates itself from what people expect. When he won the MVP in 2024, it wasn't necessarily his most prolific statistical season. He won it because of the efficiency, the way he limited mistakes, the way he elevated a supporting cast in a year when many thought the Bills were in a transition or rebuilding phase. He won it because of the narrative as much as the numbers. In 2026, to win MVP again, Josh is going to need the statistical output to be truly impressive and significant. We're talking about numbers that make people's jaws drop. We're talking about performances that dominate SportsCenter highlights every single week. We're talking about the kind of season where by November people are already conceding that he's the runaway favorite. That's a tall order, but it's possible. Josh Allen has shown he's capable of that kind of season. The question is whether everything around him aligns perfectly to allow it to happen. The guy I'm really keeping my eye on this year in terms of MVP competition is Joe Burrow. If he stays healthy for a full season, the numbers are going to be absolutely ridiculous. That Cincinnati offense is loaded. They brought back their entire offense from last year. They made legitimate improvements on defense. I'm taking the Bengals very seriously as a threat in the AFC, and if Burrow plays 17 games and puts up the kind of numbers he's capable of, he's going to be right there in the MVP conversation alongside Josh. Now let's shift gears and talk about Coach of the Year, because this is where things get really interesting for the Bills. Joe Brady is currently sitting at plus 1,300 odds, which makes him the fifth most likely candidate to win the award. That's remarkable for a first-year head coach taking over a team with playoff expectations. It shows that people around the league believe in what Brady is building in Buffalo and think he has a legitimate shot to do something special. The Bills have only had one Coach of the Year winner in the Super Bowl era, and that was Chuck Knox way back in 1980. So this would be a pretty historic accomplishment if Brady could pull it off. Last year, the award went to Mike Vrabel, who at this point in the previous season was second in the odds at plus 850. Right now, the favorites are Jesse Minter with the Ravens and John Harbaugh with the Giants, both sitting at plus 850. Then you've got Cliff Kingsbury with the Saints at plus 1,200, Robert Saleh with the Jets at plus 1,200, and then Joe Brady rounds out the top five. Before we go any further, I need to rant about something that's been driving me absolutely insane about the 2026 season, and it's the way the NFL is trying to shove the New York Giants down everyone's throats. This team has not been very good. They haven't done anything to deserve the hype they're getting. And yet they have 4 primetime games, including the first 2 weeks of the season. It feels like the NFL had to make a choice about whether to hype up the Jets or the Giants this year, and after hyping the Jets for so many years in a row and watching it fall completely flat, it's the Giants' turn to get the marketing push. Don't get me wrong, John Harbaugh is a great coach. Jackson Dart is an intriguing quarterback. People really like the personality of Cam Skattebo. But what has this team actually done to tell you they should be in primetime in the first 2 weeks of the season and 4 times overall? Meanwhile, you've got legitimately good teams like the Titans with 0 primetime games and the Jets with 0. It's absurd. So let's not all act surprised when the Giants win 5 or 6 games and the hype train completely derails. This is unearned hype at its finest, and it kills me. Okay, rant over. Back to Joe Brady and his Coach of the Year candidacy. Why could this actually happen? Well, the Bills can obviously be a really good football team. There's a legitimate chance they're a dominant team with a high-powered offense that takes major steps on the defensive side of the ball. If Joe Brady gets this team to the #1 seed in the AFC, if he accomplishes something that Sean McDermott with Josh Allen was never able to get done, there's a very good chance he wins Coach of the Year. That would be a massive accomplishment, and Brady would get tremendous credit for it. Coach of the Year also tends to favor new coaches in their first year with a team. Look at the top 5 in odds right now. Minter, Harbaugh, Kingsbury, Saleh, and Brady are all in their first season as head coaches of their respective teams. That's not a coincidence. The award loves a good narrative about a new coach coming in and immediately turning things around or taking a team to new heights. Joe Brady fits that profile perfectly. But here's the challenge, and it's a significant one. Coach of the Year typically goes to the coach whose team exceeds preseason expectations or deals with a bunch of adversity and still comes out as a playoff team with a lot of success. Expectations for the Bills are not low. If Buffalo goes 12-5, wins the AFC East, and ends up as the 3 seed in the AFC, that's not going to move the needle for anyone. That's basically what people expect the Bills to do. According to FanDuel, the Bills have the best odds to win the AFC East, the best odds of any team in the entire NFL to make the playoffs, and the second best odds to win the Super Bowl behind only the Rams. Those are championship-level expectations, not let's see if this new coach can turn things around expectations. So for Joe Brady to win Coach of the Year, it's probably going to take getting the Bills to the #1 seed and having that feel of a really dominant team that's clearly a cut above the rest of the AFC. That's a high bar to clear, but the good news is I think it's reasonably possible with this roster and this schedule. Let's talk about the rookie awards, starting with Offensive Rookie of the Year. The Bills don't have a lot of candidates here, if we're being honest. Their first offensive draft pick was Jude Bowie, an offensive lineman who's not going to be in the Oroy conversation. Then it was Skylar Bell in the 4th round, and he's currently 24th in odds to win the award. The favorites right now are Jeremiah Love, the #3 overall pick who's a running back with the Cardinals, and Fernando Mendoza, the #1 overall pick who's a quarterback with the Raiders. Could Skylar Bell have a breakout rookie season and win this award? Let's be realistic. It's very unlikely. I like Bell's skill set. I like that he's got Josh Allen throwing him the football. That's obviously a massive advantage. But what's his role going to be? The Bills are probably going to dress 5 receivers on game days. Keon Coleman and DJ Moore are locks. Then you've got this group of Josh Palmer, Keon Coleman if he's not one of the top 2, Skylar Bell, and probably somebody else who can contribute on special teams. The reality is that one of Palmer, Coleman, or Bell is going to be inactive every single week. If you're in that conversation about being inactive, you're probably not going to have anywhere near the level of production necessary to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm excited about Skylar Bell's potential, but if he has a 10, 15, or even 20-catch season this year, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And obviously, that's not going to be good enough to win the award. Defensive Rookie of the Year is a more interesting conversation for Buffalo. The Bills haven't won this award since Shane Conlon back in 1987, though Jim Haslett also won it in 1979. The favorites right now are Reuben Bain with the Buccaneers and David Bailey with the Jets, both at plus 500. For the Bills, TJ Parker is the best bet at 18th in the odds at plus 5,000. Why could TJ Parker actually have a shot at this? Well, there's a legitimate path to him having a pretty significant role in this defense right away. He could be in line for 400-plus snaps alongside Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, and potentially Michael Hoy. Getting on the field is step 1 to producing at a level that gets you into award conversations. I also think that if Parker's impact in Buffalo is significant right away, it'll have a real narrative-busting feel to it. The Bills have been desperately searching for pass rush help for years. If Parker comes in as a rookie and immediately solves that problem, he's going to get a lot of credit and attention. The scheme that Jim Leonhard is implementing should also be favorable for individual production. It's predicated on being aggressive with pressure looks and setting up one-on-one battles. If you can win your individual matchups, you can put up stats, and if you put up stats as a rookie pass rusher, you'll be in the Defensive Rookie of the Year conversation. But let's be realistic about the challenges. Parker is still behind guys like Von Miller and Bradley Chubb on the depth chart. Michael Hoy looked pretty good in the limited time we saw him before his injury. Is Parker definitely the third guy in the rotation, or could he be the fourth? That matters a lot in terms of snap count and opportunity. And just generally with TJ Parker, he's got a lot of work to do in becoming a true sack artist. I like his tools. I like his run defense. I like his power and compression skills. But does he have the complete arsenal at this point to consistently beat NFL offensive tackles and finish with sacks? I'm not totally convinced yet. Comeback Player of the Year is an interesting category, and it's kind of wild that FanDuel lists 36 players with odds for this award, but not a single Bills player made the cut. The favorite right now is Patrick Mahomes at plus 150, which feels like the NFL is just dying to give him another award. Kyler Murray is second at plus 550. Then you've got Micah Parsons and Malik Neighbors at plus 1,000. The Bills absolutely should have some candidates on this list. Ed Oliver is the most obvious one. You could make cases for Michael Hoy, Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, or even Josh Palmer on the offensive side. Ed Oliver in particular finished 2024 playing phenomenal football. The way he looked in the 2.5 games he was available in 2025 before getting hurt was phenomenal. If he maintains that level of play for a full season, and the scheme sets up one-on-ones that allow him to wreak havoc, he could absolutely have a comeback player of the year type season. But let's be honest, the NFL cannot wait to give this award to Patrick Mahomes. Plus 150 odds for a guy who's already the face of the league and won multiple Super Bowls? Come on. They're practically begging people to bet on him because they know it's going to happen. Offensive Player of the Year is fascinating when you look at the Bills' candidates. James Cook is 11th in the odds at plus 2,200, tied with Saquon Barkley. Josh Allen is way down at plus 8,000. DJ Moore is at plus 25,000. Keon Coleman at plus 30,000. And Dalton Kincaid at plus 40,000. Why could James Cook actually win this? Well, he's the reigning NFL rushing champion. His touchdown production has been excellent with 14 touchdowns in 2025 and 18 in 2024. There's absolutely a path where he has massive rushing production, a ton of touchdowns, and his receiving numbers could go way up this year. Could Cook have over 2,000 yards from scrimmage and 20 touchdowns? I don't think that's crazy at all. If he does that, he should absolutely be in this conversation. But here's the problem. James Cook hasn't gotten a single vote for this award yet. He had 18 touchdowns in 2024 and was top 5 in yards from scrimmage. Didn't get a vote. He led the entire NFL in rushing last year with 14 touchdowns. Didn't get a vote. So yeah, that makes me pretty skeptical that voters are suddenly going to change their minds about him. As for Josh Allen potentially winning Offensive Player of the Year, I just don't think it's realistic. A running back or wide receiver has won this award each of the last 7 years. The best quarterback wins MVP. The best offensive non-quarterback wins Offensive Player of the Year. That's just how it works now. Defensive Player of the Year is going to be incredibly difficult for any Bills player to win. Ed Oliver is the team's best candidate at 33rd in the odds at plus 8,000. Myles Garrett is the favorite at plus 600. Followed by Will Anderson at plus 800. The scheme should help Bills pass rushers put up individual stats, but are they going to exceed the production of Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, Max Crosby, or Will Anderson? Probably not. And there's going to be an adjustment period for this defense under a new coordinator with a new scheme. I just don't know if the Bills are positioned to have someone win this award. Finally, let's talk about the Protector of the Year award, which is the newest award that honors offensive linemen. Last year, Joe Thuney won it with the Bears. The finalists were Penei Sewell, Quentin Nelson, Creed Humphrey, Aaron Brewer, and Garrett Bowles. This award is voted on by a panel of former NFL offensive linemen, and Dion Dawkins was a huge catalyst in getting it created in the first place. The Bills have some quality offensive linemen who could be in the mix. Dion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, Connor McGovern, and Osiris Torrance all have the potential to have that type of standout season. But for Dawkins and Brown specifically, they've got to play better than they did last year. If this award is about how you perform against top competition, that Week 1 matchup against Houston is going to be incredibly telling. So let's put it all together. Josh Allen is the MVP favorite. Joe Brady is in the top 5 for Coach of the Year. James Cook could make noise in the Offensive Player of the Year race. TJ Parker has an outside shot at Defensive Rookie of the Year. The Bills have legitimate candidates across multiple award categories, which speaks to the talent level on this roster and the expectations surrounding this team. But at the end of the day, none of these individual awards matter if the Bills don't win the Super Bowl. That's the truth. That's what this is all about. These awards are nice. Recognition is nice. Having your guys getting the respect they deserve from the league is nice. But the only trophy that matters, the only thing that will define this era of Bills football, the only accomplishment that will satisfy this fan base and this organization is winning the Lombardi Trophy. If the Bills win the Super Bowl in 2026, there's a great chance Josh Allen wins MVP. There's a great chance Joe Brady wins Coach of the Year. There's a great chance multiple Bills are finalists for other awards. Team success and individual accolades go hand in hand, but if the Bills fall short in the playoffs again, if they experience another heartbreaking January loss, nobody in Buffalo is going to care about MVP trophies or Coach of the Year plaques. There'll be nice consolation prizes, but that's all they'll be. The Bills are positioned to have a special season. The talent is there. The coaching staff is there. The expectations are there. Josh Allen is playing at an MVP level. Joe Brady has this team believing in his system. The pieces are in place for something magical to happen in Western New York. Whether that translates to individual awards remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. If the Bills do their job and bring home that Lombardi Trophy, the individual honors will take care of themselves. Bills Mafia, we've got a lot to be excited about heading into 2026. Your quarterback is the MVP favorite. Your head coach is getting Coach of the Year buzz. Your team has the second best Super Bowl odds in the entire NFL. The pieces are aligned for something special. Now it's time to go out and make it happen on the field. Because at the end of the day, actions speak louder than odds, and the only thing that matters is winning when it counts. If you made it through this entire deep dive into every single NFL award category and how the Bills stack up, thank you. I know that was a lot to digest, but these are the conversations we need to be having as we get ready for the season. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay locked in on everything Bills throughout the entire year, make sure you hit that like button, drop a comment below telling me which award you think a Bills player is most likely to win, and smash that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We're going to be covering every game, every storyline, every controversy all season long. Go Bills!